universes between the panels.
When you think of comics, what comes to mind? Caped heroes soaring above city skylines or the clever humor of a newspaper strip. For many readers, comics mean bold colors, dynamic action, and memorable characters. Yet the history of comics is far older and broader than the modern comic book. It stretches across continents and centuries, rooted in humanity's long tradition of telling stories through images arranged in sequence. Long before printing presses or costumed heroes, ancient civilizations were already experimenting with visual storytelling. Egyptian hieroglyphs combined symbols and images to record religious beliefs and political events on temple walls and papyrus. In Rome, the spiral reliefs of Trajan's column depicted military campaigns in carefully ordered scenes. While not comics in the modern sense, these works demonstrated how sequential imagery could guide viewers through a narrative. Other cultures developed similar traditions. In medieval Europe, the Bayeux tapestry recounted the Norman conquest through a continuous embroidered narrative. In Japan, emakimono picture scrolls from the 12th century blended text and illustration, revealing stories gradually as they were unrolled. Across regions, audiences learned to follow stories visually, establishing the fundamental grammar that comics would later refine. The modern comic began to take shape in the 19th century alongside industrial printing. Advances in press technology allowed newspapers to reach mass audiences at low cost. To attract readers, publishers introduced illustrated humor and political cartoons. In Europe and the United States, satirical drawings became influential tools of commentary, expanding the role of visual storytelling in everyday life. A major milestone came in 1895 with The Yellow Kid by Richard F. Outcault. Published in color Sunday supplements, the character's dialogue often appeared directly on his oversized nightshirt. Although speech balloons had existed earlier, this presentation helped popularize integrated text within images in American newspapers. The strip's success contributed to the rapid expansion of comics sections and established comics as a commercial force. By the early 20th century, newspaper strips had become cultural fixtures. Works such as Little Nemo in Slumberland by Winsor McCay showcased imaginative layouts and dreamlike imagery. George Harriman's Crazy Cat explored surreal humor and linguistic play. These creators demonstrated that comics could experiment with pacing, structure, and emotional tone, elevating the medium beyond simple humor. As publishing formats evolved, the comic book emerged in the 1930s when publishers began compiling strips into booklet form and soon commissioned original material. In 1938, Action Comics #1 introduced Superman, created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. His debut is widely considered the beginning of the golden age of comics. During the hardships of the Great Depression, Superman embodied ideals of justice and hope. His success encouraged a wave of new heroes. Batman appeared in 1939 with a darker detective-oriented tone. Wonder Woman debuted in 1941, offering a powerful female protagonist. Captain America, introduced the same year, became closely associated with wartime patriotism. These characters reflected the social climate of their era. Throughout the 1940s, superheroes dominated American newsstands, often mirroring global tensions through fictional conflicts. At the same time, other genres such as crime, horror, romance, and westerns gained popularity. The diversity of themes demonstrated the medium's adaptability and its ability to respond to changing reader interests. The post-war period brought both expansion and scrutiny. Crime and horror comics attracted large audiences but also criticism. In 1954, psychiatrist Frederick Wortham published Seduction of the Innocent, arguing that comics contributed to juvenile delinquency. Public concern led to congressional hearings and the establishment of the Comics Code Authority, which imposed strict content guidelines that shaped American comics for decades. While American publishers adjusted to regulation, European traditions continued to mature. In Belgium, The Adventures of Tintin gained international recognition for its clear line style and detailed settings. In France, Asterix blended humor with historical parody. The Franco-Belgian Banda Dessinée tradition developed album-length publications and gradually earned recognition as a respected artistic field. During the same post-war era, Japan witnessed a transformation in its comic culture. Osamu Tezuka introduced cinematic panel transitions, expressive characters, and long-form storytelling in works such as Astro Boy. His innovations helped define modern manga and influenced generations of artists. What began as a national revival would eventually become a global cultural force. By the 1960s, American comics entered what is often called the Silver Age, Marvel Comics. Guided by creators including Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, and Steve Ditko, introduced heroes who balanced extraordinary powers with personal struggles. Characters such as Spider-Man faced financial hardship, social pressure, and moral uncertainty. This shift toward human vulnerability broadened the emotional range of superhero narratives. As creative boundaries expanded, so did independent expression. The late 1960s and 1970s saw the rise of underground comics in the United States. Independent creators published works outside mainstream distribution, addressing politics, sexuality, and countercultural themes. This movement challenged conventional limits and encouraged experimentation in both content and visual style. In the 1980s, mainstream superhero comics adopted darker and more introspective tones. Watchmen by Alan Moore and The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller presented morally complex protagonists in settings that echoed contemporary anxieties. These works questioned traditional notions of heroism and authority, demonstrating that superhero stories could sustain layered thematic exploration. At the same time, the graphic novel gained increasing recognition. In 1992, Maus by Art Spiegelman received the Pulitzer Prize, marking a significant milestone for the medium's cultural acceptance. Bookstores expanded their graphic novel sections, and universities began incorporating comics into academic study, further strengthening their legitimacy. The 1990s brought commercial expansion followed by market instability, driven partly by speculative buying. As the industry adjusted to economic shifts, publishers diversified and creator-owned imprints gained prominence. These structural changes prepared the medium for its next transformation. That transformation arrived with the rise of digital technology in the 21st century. Webcomics enabled creators to publish directly online without traditional gatekeepers. Platforms such as Webtoon popularized vertical scrolling formats optimized for smartphones. Distribution, readership, and even storytelling structure began to evolve alongside new devices and habits. Today, the traditions shaped throughout the 20th century continue to expand globally. Japan remains closely associated with manga across diverse genres and age groups. South Korea has strengthened its presence through digitally native manhwa. China continues to develop a growing manhwa industry for domestic and international markets. The United States maintains strong traditions in superhero comics and graphic novels. France and Belgium sustain the banda dessinée album format, while Italy is known for fumetti. Countries such as Spain and Argentina have contributed influential traditions of political and socially realistic comics. Together, these national forms create a diverse and interconnected global landscape. From ancient cave paintings to digital webtoons, the history of comics is a story of constant innovation and human creativity. It's a journey that spans continents and centuries, proving that our need to tell stories with pictures is a fundamental part of who we are. What's your favorite comic book era or character? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey through history, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the worlds we love. See you next time.